Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Rob Lindsay. We're taking a step away from our special operations corner of the world. He's a Marine Corps veteran, a current law enforcement officer, is now a fitness coach and firearms instructor. Forge mindset, build longevity, master performance. Find him at Rob_assets only on Instagram. I'll have links to his socials in the show description. Today's episode is brought to you by the Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, unlock vitality, and fuel your momentum through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret. He knows where you've been, where you want to go, and how to get you there. And he's an actual doctor that went to actual medical school and can prescribe you actual medicine. That's a bonus. So, if TRT, HRT, hormones, testosterone, peptides, GLP-1s, or aesthetics are something you've been looking into or just starting to, look no further than Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Walk in person, telemedicine. Use code LKO20 on your initial consultation paperwork to save 20% on said consultation. I appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Rob Lindsay, welcome to Lesser Known Operators, man. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. I think you reached out to me. I've
Yep.
been really lazy with my marketing lately, which has been nice because then I don't have to send messages out and ask people. I love when people reach out to me and I make all the rules. The rules you generally are special operations or special operations adjacent. But if somebody messages me, yeah, sure. If I got time, yeah, let's record. I don't care. And
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
liked your page. I liked what you're about, and I wanted to have a conversation.
I'm a lot more chill than I used to be. I'm getting more chill all the time, except in the gym. I'm pretty let's go, Every once in a while you got to overdose on pre-workout and get after it, but that's the way it is. You gotta test the machine every once in a while. So no, I thank you for coming on. Thank you for reaching out. And I love it, man. I get to meet new people, expand the network, and know people all over the place. And I'm sure you're figuring that out with your social media page of how connected you now are to people you never thought you'd ever speak to.
Absolutely. It's actually been pretty insane.
So go into that. What do you mean in saying this? It's just like people reaching out to you, or people in the comments, or just people you never thought you'd talk with?
Yeah, so I had two Instagrams and like a personal one, and then I started the one that I have now. And essentially, I wanted that to be like my growth as a shooter, right? Of like, here's my journey of becoming as good of a shooter as I can be. And more and more times, I just kept putting like training videos, cool videos on that. The less I used the other one, so I got rid of that, and I just made this one the main one. And as I was putting up a lot of the training videos, I went to a couple events. And as I started going to these events and classes, like more and more people would walk up to me and say that like they see me from Instagram, and it's really cool to like put a face to a name and videos and stuff like that. And I was like, wow. So people were actually kind of seeing that. That's neat. And then essentially just from there, it kind of just kept skyrocketing of more places I would go, more people would, come up to me. And I feel rude half the time because there's a lot of people that are like, yo, man, I see all your stuff. And I talk to them as if I know everything about them, but I don't even know who they are. And,
Oh, that's fine.
just try to be a cool dude, right? And then start those conversations. And then that leads into, more people looking at the videos and more people like not essentially maybe reaching out, but like when you meet them in person, it's just like, no, I see the work that you're putting in. It's really cool. Keep doing what you're doing. And from there, it kind of just skyrockets a little bit. And yeah, I did not think that I would have met, worked with, or had conversations with some of the people that I currently do today. So it's been a really good experience.
It's all work, you just put in the work and then stuff will start happening as opposed to just sitting around and waiting for something to happen to you. But
Exactly.
I have a big pocket full of lesser known operator stickers. And if anybody, I run into anybody, I'm like, give them a sticker. I like handing out my stickers. I'm like a
Yeah.
little kid. They'll come up to me and say, oh, hey, what's up, Nick? And I'm like, hey, you want a sticker? I'm just like, you want a lollipop? So I think it's fun. And to meet more people but I'm building this as a resource. I want people to be able to get a hold of me or a hold of the people that I know. And so I'm just trying to be accessible and nice to people. And that's the way I move forward with that. But you said all about attitude and training. We were talking before we started recording. Why is that so important to you?
So, I'm only 29, and with my background, I wrestled, and wrestling to me is like the greatest sport anybody could ever do because there's so many lessons that you learn in that. And some of the best fighters in the world have a wrestling background, so it kind of speaks for itself within it. Now, within wrestling, you're learning self discipline, self reliance. Like the coolest thing I ever learned is that nobody really cares about how much training you did or who was your coaches or who was your partners, anything like that. The only thing that actually matters is the second you step on that mat and it's 1v1. Like, are you able to perform on that day? Everything else actually doesn't matter. But you'll know by the end of that match if you put in enough work, and the only one you can blame is yourself. And so I started to have that type of a mindset when I was a child. And my dad was phenomenal. Like, he didn't know everything about coaching people, but he coached me the best to his abilities. And I still remember times of getting pulled over by the police because I'm pushing like our van down a road, next to our gym. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" And my dad just laughed and he's like, "We're training. Like, we're just training." And just that entire environment growing up really helped solidify like holding a different type of a standard. And that, like, there's always somebody working harder than you. It doesn't matter. There's always somebody that's doing more. And any day that you take off, that's somebody else's advantage to be better than you. And it kind of lived and resonated with me. So, taking that into, the Marine Corps and all the other type of trainings that I've done, it's always just been that. And then, to fast forward to like kind of what I'm doing now, every man has goals and every man essentially lives, if they're not doing anything productive today, they're living in their past accomplishments. And what I think that comes down to is a weak mindset of I'm not doing anything today. So you don't know who I am today, but let me tell you about who I used to be to earn your respect. And I think all of that comes down to mindset because if we're doing what we need to do today, people are going to want to know about you today and what you're planning to do for the future. Talking about your past is cool for memories, but like, what do you bring to the table today? And all of this revolves around the mindset. Because if we can structure our mindset to think about, are we the man that people think we are today, or do they just think because we wear a uniform or we do something like that we still hold that same value? And then transitioning that into the training aspect of things, it's like, again, when you come into the military law enforcement, there is no training. And some of the guys I talk to, I always ask them, I'm like, in all the doctrines you've ever been read, where was the sentence that ever said like this is what requires or this is what acknowledges what good enough means? And none of them can answer it because there is no good enough. Like, we set our own standards, and then depending on how you see it and how you envision it dictates how hard you're going to continue to train for that vision of what you want to become.
Okay. So then what are your goals then? You said every man and you have your goals. What are your goals then? What are you trying to catch? Because for me, I've found achieving those goals has not been as fun or satisfying as trying to achieve the goals.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I fall into the, nothing's ever good enough. Like, we have short-term goals
No.
and long-term goals. My short-term goals is just every day. Like, I have the system that I live by is daily non-negotiables, weekly non-negotiables, monthly non-negotiables. And then that leads into, a 90-day goal, 180-day goal, and, a 1-year vision goal.
You're
And as
way
long as
more
I'm
put
doing
together
what I
than me, man. Oh, fuck. I'm like, I got like 3 things written down and like, oh, fuck, maybe, eventually, but whatever.
for me, I find that the better structure that I have makes life way simpler. And as long as I can get done what I need to get done every day, the way that I envision it is that, I saw this on an Alex Hormozy podcast or video, and he's just like, we need to know what a perfect day looks like to us. Everybody's perfect day looks different. How many days in a week can we make perfect? And that'll lead to what a good week looks like. Then how many good weeks can we lead into a good month? And as long as we're staying on that trajectory, it would be unreasonable that we're not going to hit the goals that we have set out. So for like me and my goals, I've several different goals, but for right now, it's you know I'll give you my daily non-negotiables. It's I do 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups every day, usually in the morning. I read some scripture and I try to go to the gym between 5 and 7 a.m. And then literally for the next X amount of hours, it's, doing client update work, researching stuff, trying to better my program, reaching out to different people, or getting on the range and training people that have already scheduled dates. As long as I'm doing that every day, like I'm pretty set up for the ultimate goal for me. And I would like to have a country known training company revolved around fitness mindset and firearms. And hopefully that bleeds into essentially law enforcement and maybe even military training to get these guys better training to lead to just overall better performance no matter what's going on.
Pretty squared away. I mean, what I tell people with most of that stuff is it's not you or your how good you are isn't the problem. It's going to be your marketing is going to be the issue. Because the problem isn't your technique or your tactics. It's that nobody knows who the fuck you are, and you gotta you gotta market yourself. You're a Marine. I think the Marines are the greatest fucking thing, greatest marketing ploy in the history of the United States. Everybody's always a Marine. They're never an ex-Marine. They're always a current Marine. Oh, commercials were the best. Billboards, all kinds of stuff. I look at it from a marketing perspective. I mean, they are targeting their market and they're there. Like I said, billboards, commercials, good commercials at that, right? And now I look at what I'm trying to do with lesser known operators or what the special forces is failing to do right now, but the Rangers are doing really well, owning the market space and just having the Marines out there. The Army spends a lot of money on, God, we have a CrossFit team, we got a marathon team, we got a bowling team. There's
I didn't even know there
what
was
else
bowling.
is there's a kayak bass fishing team. There's a bass boat. They're on the professional bass or the Bass Pro Tour. I forget what it's called. There's an acronym for it. But we
Yeah,
spent
my
money
big
on
list.
everything.
Sounds like
So
fun.
there's an Army gaming team. So there's all kinds of things out there.
So
I don't
essentially, what
really
you're saying is that everybody everywhere is getting marketed except for special forces.
we do a bad job. But I'm trying to, well, with you, right? With how, like I was back to what I was saying, the problem isn't that, or it's not your discipline, it's not all this. It's just, you got to make sure you're putting some time into, people got to know who the fuck I am. And it looks like you are with your Instagram. Congratulations on the 10,000. That's fucking awesome. I know I was very excited when I got to it. So you must be as well.
I was very excited. I didn't realize it was going to come when it did, and it came from a very controversial post that people are taking very far. But to your point, it worked.
You got to. People are going to follow you. They're going to unfollow you. Somebody will go, oh, I like what this guy has to say, and they'll stick around because most of the stuff can be discarded as long as you're not being mean to anybody. Just don't be mean to anybody. You can make light or you can bring opinions in and things like that. Just don't be mean because there's no coming back from that because then you're just always sucked into fighting in the comments, and
Yeah.
that's not helpful. But
So that post did it, and now from there, it's been doing pretty decent. So it's I'm still learning. You know, what I mean, I think I touched on a little bit of that algorithm, so now I kind of know a little bit more than I did a couple months ago.
well, you're arguing standards, and people, especially over the last 20 years, there's been, oh, this is the standards changed, or this, or this is that. And we go, of course they've changed. They always change. Like, guys, they're always like, don't worry about it. You'll never meet any of these people that sit at these tables that make these decisions about standards and who can be in what unit and everything. Don't worry about it. Worry about yourself.
Mhm.
Worry about the soldiers that you're in charge of and your friends and your family. That stuff, you worry about it, you're just going to get angry, and you're going to be left alone, angry all by yourself.
That's why I'm very big on at least attempting to lead by example. Right? You could say whatever you want, but if you can't back up what you're saying based upon undeniable results that you bring, then you really just sound like an asshole.
Okay. Why are you like that?
Like what specifically?
Just big on doing what you say and saying what you do.
Well, especially with social media and anything like that. Like, there's a lot of people that are extremely smart, and it kind of comes back to one of those things of like, who should every coach be a master of the craft and performance, or is their education so spot on with coaching that they can coach and not perform the same way they coach? And somebody who's performing, can they perform very well, but they can't teach very well? It comes back to kind of both of those. So, the best route is, if you're going to be teaching something, you should have a little bit of a background about performing in that same aspect. Because if you're talking about something, but you're not able to prove it or back it up, I mean, then what is it? Is it just a thought? Can it be a standard if you can't even hold it? Is it just, hearsay? Is it just whatever? But if you're able to back up exactly what you're able to say to some degree, I think it holds a little bit more weight.
My simple outlook towards fitness. If I want to bench 500 pounds, I'm going to go learn from somebody who can bench 500 pounds. If I want to run a 5 minute mile, I'm going to ask advice somebody who's run a 4:59. You know, I tell kids at the gym, they're like, "How'd you get so big?" I was like, "I just looked at what other people that were bigger than me were doing, and then I started doing that." I wanted to be have more muscle, and the theme that everybody kept saying is you got to eat more. So guess what I did? I just ate more food, and I started getting bigger. I didn't eat garbage. I ate good food, and you start getting bigger. It's very at the basis of all of these things is very simple. Like if you want to do something, you're going to have to figure out what the people that have already done it are doing, and then go do that.
Yeah. And that's kind of the thing that I try to preach the most, is that there's so many people in the world that make it so complex. It doesn't have to be. It could be very simple. Like it's funny. A lot of the conversations I have with guys, they're always asking me about all of these different avenues and all of this different thing. And I say the same thing to them every time. If you just started to do one of them, you probably could accomplish a couple of them by the time you thought about which one to even pick from. You're just wasting time.
There's a lot of noise out there of garbage, though, too, of people. A perfect example. I mean, you go to the gym every day, I assume, or every other day you lift, right? I went in the gym the other day, and all the cable machines, they're all full with kids doing side lat raises. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You guys are all 105 pounds. Like, why are you doing side lat raises on the cable machine? And it's all of them. And I'm trying to figure it out. It's like, there must be okay. They're all looking at bodybuilders of like they're way ahead, and I think there's way too much focus on past the basics, and we're skipping that. We're skipping because the basics are boring. Bench, squat, deadlift, or even keeping your cardio up. We're skipping that. So I don't know, the simple shit, the boring shit. That's what works the best. But
Well, it's funny
also
when we talk about shooting, we bring everything back to the fundamentals. There is no
every
such
time, every
thing.
time,
There's
every
no
time.
such thing as advanced shooting. It's just mastery of the fundamentals, and how far on that level or have you mastered it?
Yeah, well, I don't know. There's some pretty advanced shooting schools.
Yeah, but what does it all come back down to?
Little stuff, but doing it so well.
The fundamentals are mastered to a level that they don't have to think about them, so then they can put their attention to the other tasks.
I don't know, man. I've seen some people. I'm like, I don't know how that's fucking possible. Like, unbelievable. Like, they must be wizards or some shit. Like, holy fuck. There's magic in that barrel. Have you seen the guys at the Army Marksmanship Unit shoot? Like, it's like, are we on the same fucking planet
Yeah.
as these people? Like, oh my god. But they go down there. The first thing they do is they drill a barrel for their M4 and they make them a custom rifle and everything. And these people can already shoot. They have perfect vision. So whatever. Some
Those are,
people are going to be
those are
just
different.
better at it than you also.
Those are just different aliens inside the universe there that they were born for that.
The Men in Black, there's a little thing in there to control. Like how are people that stay that state? It's like when I watch the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Sentinels
Hmm.
walk back and forth, and I'm like, how the fuck? I can't even. I'm sitting, and I can't even keep my hands that steady
Yeah,
as
no.
they are walking. So, but they talk to some of them, and they're like, we just drill and drill, and we're not up there. We just drill and drill and drill and drill and drill, and it never ends. I go, that fucking sucks. It sounds like it sucks, but they're into it. As long as you're into it, it's all
Yeah.
right.
It just comes down to reps, but purposeful reps.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Diet, exercise, water, electrolytes, sleep,
Mhm.
food, what you're actually eating, protein.
I tell
So,
people this. Here's another controversial topic that I think it's easier to lose weight than it is to gain weight. So it's essentially, I think it's easier. Essentially, I believe that it's harder to get fat than it is to just stay
I
in
don't
shape.
know, man. Have you seen my 600-pound life? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is how I present that argument, right? You control where your feet are going every day. You control what you put in your mouth every day. If you allow that to go get out of control, that's your own fault. If you just didn't do that, if you just moved your body and didn't eat the bad foods and chose the good foods, you would never have to worry about all of that. You don't need to be a
Yeah.
superhuman, but if you're always stopping at fast food, that's a decision. If you're always skipping the gym and sitting on your couch, that's a decision. If you just moved around a little bit and ate a little bit better, all of the cravings of the bad things, they just go away. They disappear. But it's an out of control thing that's compounded over years and years and years. If we started off compounding the little things, the good things, you would never have to deal with it. It's just that
Yeah.
when it gets out of control, then trying to reverse that, well, obviously that's way harder. But essentially speaking, from a child that grows up in a healthy household, it's going to be very difficult for them to just completely get, out of whack compared to a child that grows up in a, not a healthy household. Then it's the norm. But both of them are the norm, just in different areas. It's just what norm do you want to pick?
What were you as a kid? Were you the hell eating broccoli and carrots and
I was eating whatever I want because my dad had me cutting weight when I was like 10 years old. It didn't matter.
the most unhealthy thing in the world? God, looking back, just so bad for us, and that's what we were doing. We're, like, cutting weight, trying to make and when would we would have been fine at the other weight class because we would have been strong.
I did better at the bigger weights, but we didn't, register that back then. So I'm 80 pounds trying to cut down to 75, 76 pounds. It's like, what? But at the same time, like as horrible as that was for my body, it also grew my mind very, very strong, very quickly of, if this is what needs to be done, we're just going to get it done. Like nobody
Oh,
cares.
yeah, I went the other way, like, I got done with that, and I went, "I am never fucking doing that ever again. I will never cut weight ever again."
I have not I did actually once. I did once for a wrestling competition in the Marine Corps, but after that, never again.
Right now, I'd be in the heavyweight, and I'll be like, "Oh, fine," I'll out cardio the person or whatever, I'll fucking go after it, but no. I'm 241 pounds, I'm quite happy. I ain't doing that ever again. That was horrible, so stupid, trying to
Yeah.
cut down weight to make a wrestling match, and then you can't even, like, lift your arms up. You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I feel terrible. I feel so bad." I coulda
Learn.
yeah. No, well, I mean, we all the time and the lessons that we learn and everything. High school was fun, wrestling was fun. I was very good with no practice. I could have been great if I but all the motivation came when I put the uniform on. As soon as I got to basic and I put the uniform on, I went, "This is it. This is the time."
Mhm.
And if I had done that in wrestling, I don't think I ever would have joined the military. That would have become the thing. I would have done it all the way through college and maybe gone further if I'd applied my if I had the drive that I have now in high school, it would have been unbelievable. But it just didn't happen. It didn't happen until I put the uniform on, and, the results showed from that, but experience.
No, but I'm with you. I don't I plan to cut healthy weight in a fun way with just adding more, hit stuff, but I'm not forcing that the way that I ever did back then. Not even remotely close.
Alright. Alright, I'll
Except
put you on the spot.
I do like fasting though. Fasting is I think it's very good.
Fuck that. People talk about it, I'm like, "Good for you guys." That sounds awful. I like to eat. Ugh,
Fasting
fuck
for me
that.
helps rejuvenate my mind and put me in a different focus. If I'm getting a little too out of whack every now and again, I'll just do a 48-hour fast, relock in, we're good to go. But
Yeah.
I'm also not 240. I'm sitting at a solid 175 right now. So it's a
Hey, man,
little
I can still move. I can still move. I'm pretty fucking quick. Alright, I put you on the spot here. You can only do 3 exercises for the rest of your life. What are they?
sprints, zerchers, and floor press.
Press. Really? See, for me, it's barbell back squat, farmer's carries, all variations of farmer's carries, and then the weighted dip. I think that is,
Well, if you're adding that, yeah, every variation of a Zercher is like
yeah.
golden for me. Sprinting, just because I love sprinting. Not that I can at the moment, So yeah, okay. The only reason I put floor press in there is because weighted pull ups instead of that. I like
Okay.
pull ups.
That's gonna get you a lot more muscle activation. So, you said before we started, you got a bunch of injuries and setback. Is that from training incorrectly or being unlucky, or both?
Both, 100%. So half of my injuries came from just freak accidents that I could never have stopped. The other part of the injuries is me never slowing down and not listening to my body.
Well, that's just age, I mean, you're just now coming out of it where you go, "Ah, I can't train like that anymore. Dumb. You can't train dumb anymore."
Yeah, so before I even got into the Marine Corps, I had herniated discs, I had concussions, I had 2 knee surgeries, I broke my elbow.
How'd you get in the Marines then?
Well, they didn't know any of that. No, I mean, they knew it, but none of those injuries were, like, no metal, no, like, it never limited, like, nothing. It was just like that. But then when I got in, I got mugged once from being dumb, broke my jaw, and got a concussion, and tore my shoulder, tore my labrum in my hip, and just the otherwhelming of knee stuff, back stuff, and neck stuff.
Okay. Alright.
And then I continued to get a couple injuries after the Marine Corps as well. Yeah, I've been getting injuries ever since junior year or sophomore year of high school. From there to now, I've been injured every year in one way. It's been very annoying. I can tell you that.
Well, yeah. The ones that probably, the concussions are the worst ones for you. Everything else you can kinda work out. With those, you need to take time with those, and, they
I
ruined
don't
my life.
do roller coasters anymore. Once my brain starts to get rattled from those, like I'm like throwing up.
I had this conversation with, John McLaughlin the other night. He came back on the show. He wanted to talk about some stuff. He got blown up in Afghanistan in 2017. What year was that? 16? And 16. And he took a bad blast and he got some some bad damage. And I was joking because he's feeling pretty good now, and I'm doing okay. And I go, "Hey, you ever like graze your head on the door frame when you're getting into the car, and you get that metallic taste in your mouth?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, man. The other day I was under a house. He's a plumber now, and he's like, I just bumped my head on the joist, and I just got to sit there like this." I said, and tell my guys, "Hey, just leave me and come back here in a few minutes," and you're like, "I gotta go. Is this it? Do I see the light?
Yeah.
Today's the day." And yeah, I don't think that shit's normal, but it is normal, especially for people in the military. We just go, "Oh, this is my life now."
Yeah, it's just I'm like terrified to get on a roller coaster because every time I get off, I'm kind of like messed up for like an hour.
That's not good.
I
That's
don't
not
like
good. That's not good. You should look into that.
but I just here's like the rule of life. Let's just not get on roller coasters.
Okay. Yeah. I guess they aren't really required in everyday living to get on a
No,
roller
so like
coaster.
anything like that. Because when I was a kid, I used to get on those spinny ones that are going like crazy. If I went on that now, I'd probably freaking pass out, throw up, and wake up the next day. I have no idea. And I've never had any like real traumatic stuff, but I've been knocked out a handful of times, especially wrestling, getting slammed and like knocking heads with people during like grappling stuff. Like I've never like had a real traumatic experience, but just the compounding like head hits over the years. It's like now I'm like I don't want to get in a fight because if I get hit the wrong way, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Nobody should want to get in a fight unless you're getting paid.
Yeah.
Should always be de-escalate is the first option. I'm so lame now and so calm. I'm like, can't we all just be friends? Let's all just get along.
That's
And
what I tell a
everybody's
lot of people, especially like out, like, on the streets. It's just like, just talk to people as human beings. It doesn't matter. Like if you just be nice to them, it doesn't matter what is really going on. The conversation will probably go better. But when you go in there super, super hot all the time, and I'm at fault sometimes, I'm not perfect, but most of the time you go in there and have a conversation, you can kind of eliminate the risk of it escalating. And if we're not trying to do that, then you know,
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a technique too. That takes training as well to de-escalate the situation and stay calm because our first reaction is to freak out as
yeah,
always, especially as young men. And the knee-jerk reaction is always to lose your mind and start a fight. But that's probably get you in more trouble than it's worth. All right, man. So why, go through wrestling in high school and all that? Why did you settle on the Marine Corps?
the funniest thing is I could be wrong. I haven't ever actually researched it, but when I was a kid, I don't even remember how old. I think it was one of like the first King Kong movies that came out, and the people that stormed the island to get King Kong, I looked at them and I'm like, I want to do that. And then I started diving into more research of like, the branches and stuff like that. Just the Marine Corps stood out the most. Their marketing back then was just still pretty cool. So I took that and I'm like, okay. I had a couple avenues I was interested in, and the Marines just always stuck out to me.
Damn marketing. How was your experience getting to basic training? Were you pretty well prepared for what was gonna happen when you got to the stand on those yellow footprints, or was it still a shock to you?
No, it was definitely still a shock. Can't dive too much into that, but I did have a couple friends that were in that were fresh Marines, and they kind of explained exactly like what goes on in there, and it's just that. But some of the things that happened on that first night were some of the things that aren't supposed to happen, and I'm just like, okay, now I know. And then from there, you know I do have a story that I won't dive like into on that first night, but that first night really set the tone for the rest of my time there. And actually, one of my best friends today was one of my bunk mates. After probably about halfway through boot camp, we kind of had a grasp on how everything was going, and not that you're supposed to make friends with the drill instructors, but we kind of like fell into one of them, and we would intentionally piss him off just so he would fuck us up together. And it just turned into a lot of fun towards the end of boot camp.
Making the best of a shitty situation, right?
Yeah, because like it's like at the end of the day, it's just a big game. It's very, very hard to get dropped out of boot camp. You have to really, really try. The thing that disappointed me the most to bring back standards and all that is, as you're a poolee, they tell you the requirements to get on to get in. And it's like, okay, so there are standards. We have to hit them before we're even allowed to join. I like that. And then when we got there and then we had our first initial PT test, like I saw a handful of people that failed the runs and couldn't even do a single pull up. And I was just like, what's going on here? I thought they're not even allowed to get there until they can do this. And that kind of woke me up to understanding, to your point, like marketing and everything like that. But it's very, very hard to get kicked out of boot camp. Like, you gotta really do something weird or get severely injured to just completely get kicked out of that. So once I kind of understood how all that was going on, and I did fairly quickly, it was more fun. Like it sucked. Not going to say it didn't suck, but it turned into more of a fun thing. Like the more you laugh, like internally, the easier it'll be to get through it.
Yeah. I share your sentiment. I showed up to basic training and it was very disappointing. Very I don't even think disappointing is the word. I do go as far as saying I didn't even have basic training, is what I sometimes tell people because the first time I ever got smoked was at selection for special forces. Like I never was told to do push-ups out of turn one time before that, and that was I'd been in a year at that point. So it was disappointing, but I got the shit fucking kicked out of me at selection twice, so I still got it in. But no, basic. But my buddy who we enlisted together, he went right across the street, like right there. Just I can see their deck over there, and he got the shit smoked out of him every day for the whole 2 months or whatever 3 months we were there, and that's too bad. Maybe that would have been fun. Maybe it would have not been fun. I don't know, but experiences may vary.
I had a lot of fun with it. The unfortunate part about when I went in is there was a lot of stuff going on Paris Island, and a lot of drill instructors were getting moved around. The unfortunate thing is that I didn't even remember if I graduated with any of my initial instructors. And that was kinda disappointing. It's just like these guys were with you for months and months, and then at the very, very end, stuff starts going on and they just rip them away from you. And it's just like, now you're kinda essentially the last couple weeks, you're with guys that you didn't train with, and like they don't really care to smoke you at all. Like, they didn't see you grow. They don't know who's good or bad, and it was kind of a it was that was disappointing.
Your first introduction to how disappointing things can be in the military, though. That's you just, "Hey, things are gonna get weird around here. You better get used to it." So where'd you go after basic?
Went to Camp Geiger for ITB training.
Okay, what was that like?
That was a whole lot of fun. Like, I don't really have any bad stories about that at all. We had to wait like a week or 2 for more drops to happen, and then, I got pushed straight into we did like the few weeks of the regular overall infantryman stuff, and then you got pushed into your specialty, which mine was machine guns, and then it was a lot of fun 'cause, I was never the smartest, so going over a lot of that knowledge tested me, like, mentally a lot, but that was a whole lot of fun. I didn't really have too much trouble with anything. Then you're competing with your buddies on, disassembly and assembly, and you're going on these. You're learning what ruck runs are and all these like actual hikes and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun at ITB. They weren't really too hard on you. Like they check you every now and again, but it was very good for that educational of like this is what you guys like need to know. I'm not going to mess with you till you understand it, and then we'll mess with you.
Okay. What are they teaching you for which firearms are they teaching you? 249?
So, we had we touched base a little bit on the Saw, not too much, but it was mainly the 240, the 50 cal, and Mark 19.
Which one's your favorite?
50 cal all day, all day.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, man.
I
The high.
still got a little bit of, imaginary metal on my spine from carrying them.
Yeah, fucking heavy, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Where'd you go after that? You said to Hawaii?
Yep, so then I got stationed in, Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, and, was with 1-3, Cat 1, and then obviously part of the heavy gun section of that.
That must have been a trip. Like, what are your options coming out of school? Like, where is the majority of people going? Because I mean, the Army will send you fucking everywhere, all over the world. You guys are limited to a little bit, aren't you limited, or is it the
Yeah,
main
I'm not the guy to ask that question to,
okay.
but, it was either North Carolina, California, or Hawaii, was like the main 3. So, 29 Palms, Camp Lejeune, or, Hawaii. I'm sure there's more, but I don't know them.
I don't really keep up on it either. There's so much shit to know about the military, and, I people ask me stuff about special forces. I go, "Fucking I don't know, man. There's so much shit to know. I'm
The
learning
funniest
shit all the
part was
time."
when you were in ITB, they're telling you about, like, the boot drops, and you're supposed to have 3, 4, 5, 6 guys with you go to the same platoon so you all get brought up together. That was not my experience. I was the only one that got put into my platoon, and, that was a fun couple weeks.
So you're just getting fucked with. You're the only one there.
Yep, yep, and luckily and this is why I tell all the like, anybody that's joining and stuff like that, like, master your knowledge, like, as much as you can. Because fortunately enough, like I studied a lot and I did pretty decent, right? But obviously, then they'll ask you questions that they know you're not going to know, and then they still have fun with you. But it pushed me because I was alone and I was terrified to just learn as much as I possibly could to kind of get fucked with the least amount, which doesn't matter, but at least you're learning. And then, a month later, another guy came and then I had to help him out. Then a month later, another guy came, had to help him out, and then we became like the Three Stooges. They called us the Dirk Digglers. That was one of the names that they called us. And we were very tight, very, very tight group. I still connect with one of them today. The other guy unfortunately passed back in 2018. And from that, after we went on our first little training op and came back, then more guys started coming, and I kind of was like the boot leader essentially. So I was running everybody through essentially what they needed to know, and it was annoying at the time, but what that did is that made me essentially master as much as I could to a degree where I didn't even have to think about it and I knew what was going on, which was able to help me. progress my knowledge and education way quicker because I was just repeating it over and over and over again for all these guys. So as shitty as it was, like it actually was extremely beneficial for my future.
Did you feel like you fit in? 'Cause you only stayed in 4 years and change. Did you feel like you fit in where you were, or would you have felt more comfortable somewhere else?
So I fit in, fairly well with my platoon. We were really put together pretty good, especially with my seniors. They were studs too, and I did want to advance my career. So I was an 0331, and then they had the 0365 billet, which was like instead of being a machine gunner, your MOS was a section leader. And I did have plans to do that. I had a whole reenlistment package set up and the whole nine. And the career planner essentially at that time messed up like 17 packages. And at that time, there was also a bunch of like weird things kind of going on. And, you know, for me personally, I took it as a sign to get out because with me on paper, like there really wasn't anything that bad to halt anything that I wanted to do. And for them to mess it up and have me to try to resubmit a whole new package, I did not want to do that. And I'm like, if I was able to be this successful when I was in, I could only imagine how successful I could be when I got out. So that's the reason that I ended up actually just getting out when I did. But I did have plans to go the full 20. It just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, it didn't work out. It's a weird time. I left at the end of 2018, and my buddies that stayed, and even in group, even in special forces, they said things got really weird in the military in 2019. Things got really strange. And then in
Yeah,
20, and then COVID came, and then things got even weirder.
I
And
got
you're
out
like,
right before that. So I exited in February of 2020. And it was like
"Oh,
March,
okay."
I think it was like March, April, May-ish timeframe when that started to really, really happen. And it was very annoying, the time that I got out because, obviously you have those fun things that you do with new Marines when you come in and whatnot. And like I was getting threatened to get NJP'd for hazing and everything like that. And I'm like, I'm not even doing anything. And like they would have all these commanders going out questioning people that had a shaved head. Like I like to be bald. Like I like being bald. So I didn't care. But like there was like these things going on that like if any new Marine came from training was had a shaved head, they would get interviewed. And then your platoon was at risk of getting in trouble for that. And it's like all these weird things and that it was just very like you couldn't really train people the way that you wanted to. You had to be very, very essentially soft, or you could potentially get in trouble. And it was very weird. Yeah, you are correct.
Interesting. Interesting. Affected all, and, that's a discussion for another time. Not really my show, but no, just a weird time, and you're right, things don't work out sometimes how you think they're gonna go, and that's okay too. But you came back to the mainland after you got out, right?
Yep. Yep. I immediately came back to Pennsylvania where I live right now.
Is that because you're getting out in COVID and now, the friends and your circle and your support system's all now, I hate using the word literally, but literally on an island out in the Pacific, and now you're back in your hometown, which I'm sure you're aware of is never good to go back to your hometown after going and seeing the world.
Yeah, I mean, but fortunately for me, I was pretty squared away with that. I was fully enrolled in the University of Pittsburgh by the time I got out, and
Okay, good.
I went down there. Within like 2 days of me getting home, I drove down to Pittsburgh and my car overheated, so I slept in it, and like that was fun. But then when I got back from Pittsburgh, I saw that there was an EMT course that popped up, and I essentially dropped everything with Pittsburgh and went to and signed up for the EMT course. And from me doing that to waiting for that course to start in like July or August or something like that, I worked at UPS for a little bit. So like I never stopped moving, and I am extremely fortunate for like my current best friend right now. We connected very, very quickly right before I got out. So right when I got home, me and him got together like the first night and started planning the next 10 years of our lives. Like there was no downtime, there was no waiting around, there was no bad habits. Like I maybe like 2 weeks I kind of like scrolled around doing a bunch of stuff or whatever, but I was pretty dead set on getting right back into, anything.
You don't seem like you can sit still very well.
No, I don't like sitting still.
So
I,
what
I feel like if I am not doing something productive, then I'm just a waste of space. And I don't like feeling like that.
I get you. I just have a different version of not being able to sit still. It looks like a lot more like sitting still, but I'm duck what did somebody say? Duck on a pond, right? I maybe look like I'm calm, but my feet are flailing underneath the water like this. But
Yeah, I don't believe in all the like the disorders that are out there and all that stuff. Like there's truth to them, but like if you were to give me one, I'm anxious a lot. Like I feel
okay.
like if I'm not doing something to better my life or to have any type of development somewhere, like I don't feel like I'm doing anything, and then I get very uncomfortable.
Why do you feel like that? Is that from something you saw when you were a kid, or is it just like you've developed into that? Or did you just more and more into the system of being you?
I mean, I think there's definitely truth in both of them. Like not to discredit like my dad at all, but like I still remember and like have dreams of if I didn't perform well, like I'd be walking home. And it's like, okay, and if I didn't perform well, why did I not perform well? And what can I do right now to start better preparing for something else? So, like, that's where like those standards with wrestling started to like really, really hit me of, like, why do something if you do not want to do it to the best of your abilities? And if you're not, why are you allowing somebody else to outperform you? And all of that never sat right with me because, failure is part of the game. But like, if you're just quitting on yourself, especially like with the stuff that like we have done, like, how are you supposed to set any type of tone or set any type of example? Like, I don't like being horrible at anything. I don't need to be the best at it, but I need to be putting effort in every day to try to become better. And then into the Marine Corps, obviously, when I was the first boot drop, I was like the leader of my boots. I had to set the example for them when they came, even though I'm still a new guy. And then when I got into the leadership positions, it's like, how can I be the best leader for them, knowing what I know? And then like it keeps translating into anything else. So then there's not even T triple C like in the Marine Corps. Like that's the Navy side, the corpsman stuff. But I loved it. I was going to sim labs with my corpsman because I just fell in love with like trauma, and that's what pushed me to become an EMT. I wanted to actually be a medic too, but once I started working as an EMT, making $15 an hour, I'm like, this is not it. So I didn't want to. I did not want to continue that to make $20 an hour. So when I went to EMT school, for people that understand it, like I went to school out of the Marine Corps, and I'm around a whole bunch of kids, like in college or getting out of high school. To set the example, what I did is I actually got my class to start coming to class early and staying later for me to teach them what I knew more for these tests. And to be able to do that to a bunch of random kids that don't care even about becoming an EMT, like that felt pretty good. And then when I went to the academy, I didn't even want to lead the academy. I was just talking the way that I talked, and I'm just like, this is weird. You know what I mean? So, like, the first day of the academy, I ironed my shirt and my pants for 2 weeks, and I shined my boots for 2 weeks before the academy because I just wanted to be squared away. I'm like, I have nothing to do right now. I'm waiting for it to start. So I did that. And I pissed off my whole academy class the first day because we were supposed to be covering a line in the back of the parking lot. I pulled right up to the front, like 3 rows ahead of everybody else. I got out in my sweatpants, got, undressed into my underwear, put my uniform on, and then I walked up to the front door and we just sat there. And in my head, it's just like, if we need to have a uniform inspection, why do I want these things to get wrinkled and dirtied on my drive? So I had them nice folded up in the back, took them off, put them on. We had the uniform inspection and they could not find a single thing wrong with me. And then from there, I had to teach other people how to iron and shine their boots. To me, this is just normal. Like, I don't want to look like a shitbag. I don't need to be the best, but I don't want to look like a liability. I want to look like I have it squared away, but still I have much more to learn. So then, I ended up getting chosen to be the, head of the class there. And then from there, I wanted to, not that I wanted to get all the awards. I just wanted to perform the best as good as I could in every aspect. And I walked out with like 8 out of 10 awards. And to me, it was like, all right, whatever. And then like I got top shot of the rifle, second place in pistol, and I was very irritated about that. But one of my buddies who was a Marine got top shot pistol. It's just, I don't know how to answer that question, honestly. I just like not, I don't like not performing. Everything to me is performance based, and it goes into like, if you're not performing the way you want, it's because you're not working hard enough. And the thing that I've been starting to say now recently is that Like there's a lot of men out there that think they're way more capable than they actually are, and I think it's a sickness that people think they're working way harder than they actually are, which gets brought into ego. And I don't like ego. I like results and performance.
So you think you're afraid to fail, or would you hate yourself if you failed?
Neither. I would hate if I knew I didn't put the required amount of work into something and didn't get the result. Because I know if you put the required amount of work into something, it is hard to actually fail. Because
Sometimes.
failure
Sometimes.
to me, like if I go and take a written test and I fail it, well, I should have just studied more. If I went to do a 5K and my standard was 19 minutes and I got a 20:30, well, I should have trained harder. Like those are failures, but those are failures based upon the work that wasn't put in for that result. And I'm an extremist 100%, but I think 90%, like I think 90% of things today, if you worked harder and smarter at that, it would have been a different result. There's things that we can't control, obviously, and I don't put those into the category. But there's a lot of there's controllables in our lives and uncontrollables. We need to control the controllables as much as we can. And then when the uncontrollables happen, keep composure, take a look at it, and just find a way around it.
Okay. There's some places, yeah. There's some schools and stuff on our side that you can do your best and train for it and still not pass, still not
Yeah.
come through.
Those are those like, fine percentages of like those extra things. I don't fully, you know, dive into like that, but just like a general rule for me, it's if you didn't get the result that you were looking for, most of the time it's because you didn't put the
Most of the time. We're there. And how is it for you guys in the Marines? Because, like, for us, you can go to the library and sign your little waiver and go to selection and things like that. Are there special operations recruiters going around to your guys' units saying, come over to MARSOC or come be a Force Recon Marine or a Raider or anything like that?
I don't essentially remember anybody actually doing that, but I do know that it was briefly talked about, and that if you did want to do that, you can have a sit down with somebody and talk about that avenue. And most of the time, a lot of the guys that like I was around was more of those were thoughts that were coming in towards the end of the enlistments and looking at the next chapter. There wasn't really much talk of that when I was in of like, while we're doing this, you'll do this. Most of the time it was guys that were looking to possibly get into like the sniper platoon. That would be like the next like challenge for them. But I'm sure there are people that go out around and do that, but like I never fully experienced that. It was more of if you wanted to, you can go have a conversation with like your first sergeant about it.
Hmm. Everything's different. Everybody's got a different thing and how they handle the progression and the recruiting and all these other different things. There's so much information to know. So
Yeah, and when I got out, I went on a third, deployment essentially. And when I got back, my entire unit was out training, and I had like 26 days to get out. So like that full checkout process that takes a couple months, I had 28 days, and it was more so of like run everywhere you can, get signatures, and leave. And talking to some of my junior Marines now, like their exiting process was completely different. Like it's controversial in a way, but it's like you almost can't fail when you get out of the military if you do what you're supposed to do. There are so many different things to set you up for success when you get out. If you just don't do them, that's your fault. These like I had dudes that were already starting college before they got out. I had dudes that already had jobs lined up before they got out. Like there's so many different processes as you're exiting. You just have to do them. And then like it's kind of like an easy transition straight into the workforce or schools or, you know, even like welding and construction and stuff like that, apprenticeship jobs, like all of those are extremely available now. And I had no idea that was even a thing.
hmm. Yeah, you said no combat deployments for you either.
Negative. No, I was at, two UDPs essentially. And then I went to the Philippines one time.
I never got to go either. Strange. I don't even want to say strange timeline. Didn't work out. Everybody I enlisted with and everybody I went to group with, and everybody went, but it just didn't work out for me. So, yeah, it is we do have every advantage getting out of the service to have success. I will say there's a lot more. If you take a beating in your personal life or in your military life, that it is not as easy as just, "I'm gonna succeed on this other side of it." So, there's, there's there's some rough sides to it. I think we talked about it from before. I have, especially with the suicide thing, right after we get off here, I have a memorial post to put up because I got one of our guys checked out earlier this week, which is terrible. It's terrible to see because there's so many people that would go out of their way to help us, help one another, no matter the branch or the special operations regular, whatever the fuck you want to be. So many people that would go out of their way. It's just we uh we have a tough time. We have a tough time asking for help. And as
My
we said earlier in
condolences.
the conversation,
Okay.
that's all right. It's as we say, right? Reps and repetition. My best friend killed himself 2.5 years ago. And the only way that I can help other people is by getting better at talking about it than everybody else. So I have to talk about it because that is a very tough subject to be good at to talk about with other people and then in the public eye and then be respectful and then be helpful also and insightful and then like how can
Takes a
I
lot of
help?
composure to have that conversation.
You have to be a consummate professional and I'm not there yet, but I can be respectful. I can be respectful
The
and
third guy that came to the fleet, like I said, I was the first one. There was another one, then that third one. He passed away in a motorcycle accident, and he was on the phone with me when it happened, and I don't like that because he said he was in trouble, and I could not help him.
you know
And then 7 hours go by, and I got the call that that is what happened after that phone call.
Sorry to hear that. I have a similar story. I'm not going to one up your story, but I have a similar story to that. And it is a conversation that will never go away from my head. It's a gift that I can never be rid of. It's like a ghost that follows me around. So, but as a result of that, we have to live up to the person that my friend could have been in life, is to make the best out of a shitty situation. And that's what I'm trying to do. I He's gone, and I'm sober now, and I'm fit, and I'm trying to be a good example to people, just be nice to people, be helpful, and I'm pretty chill as a result of that, you know? I Life is not as I don't know, it's very serious, but I try and just enjoy what I'm doing, and it's changed my entire life and my entire outlook and the way I speak to people. All my peers that are still in, they're E8s, E9s, coming up on E9 now. So I try and I can still be a sergeant major. It's just I get to wear more comfortable clothes now and
Yeah.
act a certain way. And I can still help people. I can go to the team room. I can go up to group headquarters and talk to people. But we do what we can. And that's
It's
kind of what I'm
essentially
getting
what got
after.
me it's kind of what got me started into doing everything that I'm doing right now. Because when I got out, I had a torn shoulder, like we talked about, and my two promises to myself is I'd become an EMT and a cop before I get that surgery because I knew it was coming. And then when I had that surgery, I went down. I went mentally down as far as you could go before that. And I had a couple of my other buddies make that decision, and I understood how easy it was to just make it. And fortunately for me, I was able to drag myself out. I didn't have anybody really helping me. There was actually more things pushing me towards that, and I didn't allow it to affect me the way that it could have. Thank God. That's why I started doing the training program that I do now, and it revolves around that. Is that when I started, it was mainly for military and law enforcement guys. Now it's kind of anybody and everybody, but it's still very heavy in that realm because when you get out and like I tell people it's kind of hard to like truly fail, like at your own stuff in the military because you have boys right next to you. You don't want to go to the gym, you'll probably get dragged out by your underwear to go to the gym. You got to do PT, you got to do all these things. Like you have that environment of when you don't want to do it, you'll get forced to one way or another, and then you end up doing it, and it's good. But when you get home, To your point, a lot of people join the military to get away from their home life. Not to dive into mine, like mine wasn't like that good, but it wasn't like that bad either. You know, what I mean, I wasn't really essentially running from anything. I just wanted to accomplish more things. And when I got home and that happened to me mentally, I'm like, wow, like how can I make any amount of impact? And that's when I started to build myself up and, live by these principles and put these pillars together and to let guys know like it's hard it's hard for people that were in the military or in law enforcement and any first responder in general to listen to somebody that never lived that life. It's like, yeah, but you don't get it. That's what you always hear. You don't understand. You don't get it. You didn't go through what I went through. But to have a little bit of a background in them and then have that conversation, like it holds more weight. So I started to put these pillars and principles together and to let people know, like, I'm not special. I went through a very similar thing in a different context. Different things happen, but like you can rebuild yourself and you don't have to do it alone anymore. Like you can be part of another team of people that are on a similar journey. And you don't even need to know who they are, but you'll know that there's a bunch of random numbers in this group chat of all fighting their same battles, trying to become a better version of themselves. And, I just started a community chat for my guys, and nobody knows who anybody is unless they're friends. And, some dude put something in there. Like I tell people, I'm like, put as much stuff as you want in there. It doesn't go anywhere unless like we want it to. And one message of you going through something, if somebody reads that who's going through it but doesn't want to say it, reads it, that can help them out to finish their day. And
Yeah.
one of the biggest things of what helped me continue to do this, because when you start trying to do anything on social media, it's terrifying. You don't know what to expect or what people are going to say, especially when you don't know anybody that's really doing it either. You're kind of just trying. I got a lot of hate for talking about a lot of things I was talking about and things that I was doing. But what they didn't realize is that I would get, DMs and messages from some of my buddies that were saying, like, please keep doing what you're doing because you're helping me get to the gym every day. And like that stuff people don't talk about. And I started getting, the more I did it, the more messages I would receive like that. And I'm like, okay, well, if I can help just one want to become better or do something better that day for them, everything else doesn't matter. And then the more that I can do that, the more people that I can reach, even if they don't even know who I am, they just see a video or they just see a thread or they see a message or something, and that helps them like get through one more day. I couldn't ask for anything else because essentially that was the point of me starting all this because I almost didn't make it. And I don't care to talk about that, but like it's something to talk about. Like I can resonate with where people are sitting and understand how bad it feels and what you want to do when things don't go right, but it doesn't have to end there. There are ways to get out of it. And fortunately, fitness is one of the best ways. Because when you can be happy with what you look at in the mirror, that energy can translate into every other aspect of your life. And I have conversations with guys all the time about all this stuff. And for me and my principles and my programming, like I don't really care if people want to get super shredded or super strong. I just want them to start living a more structured, consistent life that's going to breed personal development in any way. And then you start putting those principles into yourself, like it can't not translate into every other aspect. Because when you start paying attention to detail like that, you start living that lifestyle, you're not going to want to act a certain way in your other areas. And the consistency, the repeatability is going to translate. And until you start to do that, you don't know that side. So to have real conversations like that, super important to me. And, I say it all the time to people. I'm just like, nobody wants to be fat. It's just they're fighting something in here and they don't think that they can get back to where they were. And they lie to themselves and they accept it. But really they just haven't had that one conversation with somebody to say, hey buddy, like I get it, but like we can do this. You just have to bet on yourself one more time and trust that one more time. And I'm going to give you that value that you're looking for.
Different motivation works for everybody's got their own style that they like to listen to, and people, if like, they're very quick to go if they don't like something they see, they'll get in the comments and say, "You suck," or something like that. Like, "Shut up." Like, who cares? Just go on to the next thing. You don't have to follow. You don't have to announce that you're leaving. Just go. Just go. You'll be fine. Everything will be fine. You don't have to tell somebody how much they suck. and be mean unless they're being mean. Like, then you gotta go, "Hey, you're a douchebag." But even then, that's not gonna help anybody as well either.
I think
But
we fall
some
into it time and time again. I definitely am not a prince when it comes to that area. I've gotten a lot better, but I'm not perfect.
I I'll if somebody say something stupid, I'll screenshot it. But if somebody will say something positive that I can help the community in the comments, I'll screenshot that too and put it on a picture and put that out as a piece of content as well. Somebody says something motivational, I'll make a piece out of that too because I go, "Oh, that's that's brilliant. That people need to see that little piece of gold right there. We need to create that into a piece of content or make a reel out of it." There's, um there's lessons everywhere. They're in the comments, they're in the DMs, they're in the sections, they're in other people's ideas of reels that they haven't. That's pretty good. Send them a message, "Hey, what if we did this? You wanna work together on this? Let's just do that. I got an idea to make this a full idea." There's nothing wrong with looking at other people's stuff and things like that. And you're right. People, what did I hear yesterday? There's 40 or 50,000 veteran-focused nonprofits in the United States. But the vast majority of them are very, very, very small, and they only focus on helping, like, one person at a time, or they're nonprofit, so they're holding money to donate to a foundation that can actually put on an event
Yep.
or things like this. They're having a car wash in their local town, so they've got a nonprofit to raise money for vets or service dogs for amputees and things like that, and they donate to charities that can for these things. So, you know what? I whatever anybody's doing, as long as they're not defrauding the elderly, hurting animals, or hurting children, in that order, because sometimes kids are dicks, so they come in third. But as long as you're not doing those things, whatever you wanna do, right? Just be nice to people.
Are you familiar with the Howitzer clothing brand at all?
No, I know what a howitzer is. Fuck that thing.
Yeah, if I were you dive into like the Howitzer clothing brand, the main owner of it, Eric, they started something called the Blue Line Project a few years back. And essentially what that is a lot of the proceeds of the apparel, they connect with pretty solid firearms instructors all over the country to get free training for cops. Right. So for cops that are struggling to like pay for classes or anything like that, like there's more out there, but that's the one that comes.
Which on itself is bullshit also. It's like, "Oh, fuck, where's our tax where are my property tax going that the cops can only get 8 hours of training a year?" Like, where the fuck is all that money going?
Mhm.
"Oh, we spent it." "What did you spend it on?" "Holy shit. Fuck, like, we had to hire more cops." "Holy fuck, you're hiring more cops and you're not training the ones you got out there? God damn it."
And that's another piece of the content and message I'm trying to bring out is we just have better training all around. It'll lead to better results, not perfect, not the ideal that we wish and want, but it'll just lead to better results, across the country.
Why is it better? And this isn't I'm not hating on you. If you can teach, you can teach. I don't give a fuck. But you're a young kid, you're in the Marines, you're coming out. Why are you saying yours is better? Is it the structure or is it the discipline that you're putting out, or
No,
is it
no,
just the message?
I'm not saying mine's better. I'm just saying getting better.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, some of the things that I'm teaching, I'm learning from other guys making a very big impact, right? And I try to translate that message. But essentially just overall better training, better focused training, taking a look at actual data and what is going on with better, more proper training can eliminate some of these bad percentages.
Yeah, there's no substitute for stressful situations. There's no
No,
substitute for a good diet or years of experience even as well. When I was 25, which wasn't that long ago, I guess it was now. Fuck, I guess it was like 14 years ago. Holy fuck.
you could start using fancy word like decade.
I don't fucking. I'm old enough to remember when politicians didn't even know what a fucking trillion was.
Yeah.
But, 15 years ago, I guess, I was a fucking idiot. And then 10 years ago, I was also an idiot. And then 5 years ago, idiot as well. So you just become less of an idiot your entire life and you get more experience. There's no substitute for experience. And unfortunately, it takes a fucking long time to gather all that experience up to put it in. And by the time you kind of figure out what you're doing, Well, you're almost 40 years old and you got a podcast that you run out of your basement and you talk to people about the good old days and their experiences as well, and hopefully pass it on to other people if they're listening.
Yeah.
But we got it. And I come back to the marketing. If I'm not every day on my phone watching what other people are doing and how they're getting a lot of views, I'm falling behind. So my practice and everything, it looks like this. It looks like me staring at this going, this fucking kid's got like 10 million views on this. How can I turn this into a reel with what I want to do? Okay. So it just looks different, the thing, because I have a message and a positive message, very shitty to promote a positive message. So
Hmm.
you have to get people's attention. You have to hook people. You have to be honest. Like, with what you're saying, with what we were talking about earlier, going down a dark path. Like, if I want people to be honest about their mental health and their state of being, well, then I got to be honest too. And that fucking blows.
The
Like telling people
vulnerability
that,
will allow more vulnerability.
yeah, it does, but it fucking sucks. But
Hmm.
it gets people in my messages saying they're having a tough time too. Can I help you? Because I have lots of resources. I know lots of people. Let me see if I can help you. On the special operations side, that's my niche market, which is a lot of people. I stay in that because that's plenty. We got fucking plenty of problems in special operations. All kinds of shit people been through and seen in the training and disappointment and rising to the occasion and then getting out and losing it all. But mental health is a house of cards, and some cards are shittier than others.
Hmm. I definitely agree with that.
So where do you want to take the training business, man? How far do you want to take it? Do you want to have a team of people, or do you want to be the main face of the thing and just grow it as big as you can with just you?
I'm not 100% sure yet. But, essentially speaking, what I would like to do is I would like to have like my own headquarters, that might, here's my vision for me, right? And wherever this kind of leads, it kind of leads. But like, I want to have my own land. I want to have my house. I want to have a big pole barn with my own gym, and behind that, I want to have a range facility, and I want to bring people in for training and have like other instructors training there. I also want to have a gym to bring people in for, talking about training, or, have maybe like clinics and stuff like that. And I want it to all be, kind of in my backyard, but I also want to be able to travel the country and, provide as much value as I can, and, push the good message and push the good training and just connect with as many people as I can. You know, Without me even trying to do it, a lot of my stuff is kinda getting back into, like, law enforcement stuff, and just even though I haven't been on the job for that long, it's not hard to tell that, there's areas that need a little bit of tweaking, and if I can provide even, like, a sliver of positivity inside that, I wanna do that.
Yeah, isn't that the American dream? Own land, own pole barn. That seems to be it. Everybody wants a pole barn. Um, I I remember as a kid, the farmers, everybody had a pole barn. There's nothing in them. I go, what the fuck are these things for?
Mm.
But the machines, they're out doing shit all year. I'm like, well, these are always empty. There's nothing in here. But
I want a nice barn with a nice gym.
all right, what's the gym gonna look like? What do we got? What's the setup?
Old school. I like old school stuff.
Oh, so it's gonna be insulated and hot as fuck in there with like a ceiling this high.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like free weights. I like a lot of free weights, but I just, the necessities. I don't want to have a $50,000 gym. I just want a couple pieces of equipment that is very versatile. So I actually did have like my own home gym setup with everything I needed and nothing I really didn't. And unfortunately, with some things that happened in my life, I had to get rid of all of that. So now I don't really have much equipment at all, and that's one vision that I have. But realistically, I just want to be able to, travel, train, and do stuff on my computer, help as many people as I can, connect with as many people as I can, and if it leads to growing a full team, that would be phenomenal. But even if it's just a lone wolf by myself and I'm part of other, things going on, I'm totally cool with that also. As long as the end result of, helping as many people as I can, and if I need more people to do that, I will do that. If I don't and I could be part of other people doing it, then I'll do that as well.
Why do you wanna help as many people as you can? It's always a different answer for everybody else. Like, I have my reasons why I wanna do it. I feel like if I don't, I'll be wasting the talent that I do have for it. Like, I feel like I have to. It's not because and it's I want to, but I feel like I also have to. Why do you wanna help as many people as you can?
That's a slight, like, kind of, agreeance on that for me, not that it even really matters, but, like, my entire life, I've always been in some type of a leadership position. A lot of people have always looked up to me in some area, shape in some way, shape, or form. And not that I'm better or good at anything. It's just that, you know, for me, the way that I kind of live it is like I've been in very bad mental states. I've sucked at a whole lot of things. And, I started off by getting better just by brute forcing my way through it, of just not accepting anything else. And within that process, just finding more efficient ways to get better at things. I like helping people, get to an area that they're happy with themselves and that they're confident in their performance so that if anything were to happen, they're kind of, in a better advantage or the better suit to deal with it, the best that they can. Within like within America, you have a lot of people that own guns.
What?
Not a lot of people like truly know how to use them. They have them and they can load them and pull the trigger on them, but like use it in a safe, responsible, confident way if anything were to go down, that number's not that high, and until people get around people that like have done it before, they're like, wow, like, there's a lot more that goes into this. Yeah. And then, I always use the analogy like children, like, bowling. We'll say that. If you take a kid bowling and they keep getting a bunch of gutter balls, do you think they're gonna want to go back? No. You know,
Maybe, maybe.
maybe, but most of the time, if they're not having fun and enjoying that, they're not going to want to do it again. There's a lot of people out there that are training people that not that they're not doing their best, but like if people aren't getting better and having fun while they're doing it, I mean, what are we doing? We're leaving a lot of room on the table there. So, at least in my experiences, when I get people to get better, take things to a different level of confidence and just overall responsibility, and they're having the time of their life. I mean, seeing the smiles on people's faces when they start to understand things, it's just that's so much more fulfilling to me, and with all also that being said, it's just that we only have one life. And to go through life hating yourself and not being happy because of things that we can control and can change, again, it just takes one conversation and you can change the outlook of somebody's the rest of their life. So, and you're not going to always hit everybody. But again, if I could just hit one person and that one person talks to one person, it's a domino effect of positivity. And to your point, if I'm not doing that, I feel like everything that I've gone through in life is for nothing because I was never meant to be the best at anything. But if I can bring positivity and lead to any type of, personal development in anybody's life, like that's what I want to do. And with all that being said, people come ask me all the time, like, how do I hold myself accountable with everything that I'm doing? Because I'm holding a lot of other people accountable with my trainings. And the simple answer is I not only have, several coaches of my own,
Yeah, that was my next question is who are you looking
several
up to?
yeah, I have several coaches. I have shooting coaches, I have fitness coaches, I have mindset coaches, business coaches, because I understand that like you can't do it alone. You need help and you need to, I've invested a lot of time and money into learning what I do know, and I do not ever plan to stop doing that. And a lot of people out there, most people are just wasting their money on they're investing in things that don't matter. I mean, they're wasting money that they blink and it goes away, but there's nothing to prove, nothing to show of that. Investing into something that will better your life is like that next step. If you truly cared and you're truly in that better position, paying for something that will change your outlook, whether it's a skill, a class, anything. Once you start to realize the pattern of if I reach out to this person, I'm going to get this out of it. If I reach out to this person, I'm going to get this out of it. Then we combine them. Okay, cool. Now, if I reach out to this person, what am I going to get out of that? And it's just a never ending journey. I'm not just everything that I'm teaching isn't me. It's the thousands of, dollars and the hours on hours of sacrifice of investing into my education and learning, which I bring to everybody else.
I'll give you a tip, you know? It's free. Start a podcast, and then everybody will tell you all this shit for free.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea. I started the show and I'm like, this is going to be great. I'm going to have a podcast and I'm going to get to talk to people. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I started speaking differently. I started analyzing things and the way I look at stuff and my temperament and empathy and perspective. And it's all from just having conversations with people and come on my show. And I've found that I used to have 5 questions I ask everybody at the end, and now I don't have anything. There's no lit. I usually take 4 or 5 lines of notes, unless it's a foundation that's coming on. I like to know their the things I like to know the answers they're gonna give me so that I can follow up on the rest of their program so we can really get that out there, but I wanna learn your story for the first time when I hear it for the first time, and sometimes what I think we're gonna talk about goes out the window because the person that's sitting down with me needs to have a conversation with me more than I need to have a conversation with them, and it's just like this whole weird therapy session, you know? So it's interesting. Somebody asked me the other day, like, who's your who do you go to for when you need stuff? And I kind of got bummed out and I went, fucking nobody. I don't have it. It's not that I don't have anybody. I have hundreds, if not thousands of people I can go to. It's like, I just, I think it's my show. Like I made this show in this place where I can just go and talk to new friends. And how often you get to have a hour and a half, 2, 3 hour conversation with a new friend, let alone an old friend, whenever you want, right? You just sign somebody up. So it's strange the things we get into because we find the things that we put out are the things that we need the most.
Well, to point that, a very, very good like statement, I guess. A lot of people have asked me like, who is my target audience? Who am I talking to? Like, who do you want to hear this? And I tell them, I'm like, homie, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself from when I was 10 to when I was 15 to 20 to 25 to now. There's been multiple seasons in my life that if I were able to have this conversation with them at that time, it could have completely changed the outlook of where I was. So, am I essentially broadcasting things to help other people? Absolutely. But I'm just talking to myself.
Yeah, man. I all my content, almost all of it. Some of the funny stuff is just to be funny.
Yeah,
And
just
I
humorous.
I'll look at it and I'll go, that's not funny, but other people are gonna think it's funny. So this is for you guys. But the reels and all this other stuff and things I put out, it's like, that's for me. I'm happy with it. Like, I'm happy with it. Other people are gonna be happy with it. And if they're not, then well, they can
They don't
leave
need to
or they
watch
can
it.
come in. Or maybe they'll just scroll past it
Yeah.
or share it with somebody else that they think would enjoy it. So, but it's a weird space we're in. It's a weird thing to go from 10 years ago or whatever time it was to, Facebook, and now we've got Instagram, and now your whole business is on social media. I mean, my main preferred method of contact is Instagram messages now. Like, how can I get a hold of you? Like, send me a message on there because that's where I keep everything organized.
And it's funny, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like anybody special or anything like that, but to bring back like the first day I got home from the Marine Corps, I was driving around, a city over where I'm at with my best friend, Christian. And what he the conversation that we had that night was talking about where we are today. And that was almost 10 years ago. And it's just that's why I'm very, very heavy on real goal setting and real visions of what you want. Because for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me, when I can write something down, talk about something, look at something, and then essentially back plan it of how can I get there now? This is what I want. How can I get there? And we're going left and right the entire time. We're a pinball machine. You know what I mean? We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But if we have an ending result, we at least have an idea of what we would like to try to achieve. Having that conversation 10 years ago to today, I will tell you that I could not even imagine of what I'm doing right now was exactly what I thought back then. But I'm very, very happy that I have somebody like him and we're still best friends today. And to have these conversations of, what do we want? Like, what does the future hold? Stuff like that. Cause I always tell people life is filled with a bunch of tolerances and compounds. Nothing's ever perfect. It's just what are you able to tolerate to stay with long enough, and then the actions that you're doing on a day to day basis is either going to compound in a whole bunch of fucking bullshit, or it's going to compound into potentially a successful future. It's just where are you filling that cup?
Was the last point here before we wrap up. I was at the you ever go to the VA? Very sad place.
Yeah.
And, I was there because I just forgot for the life of me, I cannot call every month and get my one prescription that I need every month. And every month I'm there at the pharmacy, standing there in the same line going, never again. I'm gonna fucking call and renew my prescription on time. And sure enough, in 30 days, I'll be having the same conversation with myself. But anyway, I'm sitting there, same way I always am. Every 30 days, I'm like, God, how am I here again? I hate this place. And I'm looking around, and everybody just looks miserable. And I laughed, and I like had a smile. I went, man, I'm in the good old days right now. Like I'm healthier than every person in this building. This I'm gonna look back and go, "Man, that was the time," you know? So, I went just, "Shut up, Nick, just enjoy what you're doing. You're fucking where you wanted to be all those years ago when you started out, and, like, shut the fuck up, man. Just enjoy what you're at." But then, back to reality, my god, everybody looks so miserable, and then I got the fuck out of there. What a weird place the VA is.
One of those uncontrollables for at least me.
You don't have to hang out there, but, all right, man, last question for you. So, your training, your firearms instruction, your for lack of your, uh, professional coaching, that's your one thing, and you've mostly answered the question, but how will you take that and do good for your community moving forward into the future?
First thing is still holding myself to the things that I am teaching. Leading by example is the easiest resume. But within that is reaching out to more people, having more conversations with people like yourself, gathering wisdom from people that are doing bigger, better things than me, refining all of it, and essentially just with the way that it is right now, just producing more valuable content and trying to, you know, eventually like classes and stuff like that. But, it starts with the day to day living of me still holding true to believing in what I'm doing. And if I wake up every day and I still believe in what I'm doing, I'm going to be able to reach out to people who need it or don't even know that they need it, but it resonates with them and can just continue that journey.
Yeah, man, how can everybody find you on the socials if they so choose?
So my Instagram is Rob underscore assets only. And then I should have a website being finished here within the next few weeks, which is right now it's assetsonly365.com, but that URL may change to assetsonlyperformance.com. But that link will be in my bio on Instagram.
Okay, cool. Well, whatever's in there, I'll have links to your socials in the show description. Again, I appreciate you coming on. You got anything for me?
Well, I just appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. And obviously, I look up to you as well, looking at everything that you're doing. And, I will absolutely be in more contact and keeping base with you.
If there's anything you need, man, I'm just a message away and I'm here to support. I've got my niches that I do, but who am I to tell anybody? If somebody asks me for help, my advice or anything like that, like I've asked people and they've always been there for me. So who would I be if I'm not going to help people out if they need a hand or just come on a show and have a conversation? It's a better way to look at things than being angry all the time and upset about things. So, brother, I appreciate you coming on. Bye, everybody.